So, welcome back to Explain It Slowly. I'm your host, FPS Diesel, and today we have the Slayer of Gurus. He is the Sifu himself, Steven, aka Coffeezilla, also known as Coffeebreak. Well, we were just talking about living as a YouTuber in the pandemic.
The apocalypse. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, Diesel. Appreciate it.
No, I like I said, I had wanted to get you on, for a while, because, the shit you cover is absolutely bananas.
I feel like no one knows about it. I was telling you, I think more people are learning about it, but you kind of have to explain to them what it is, and then people do have that reaction like, wow, how are people not being arrested? How's the FBI not busting people's doors down for this? It's weird. It's a weird world.
Yeah, no, that's probably one of my first questions for you is why the hell are all these... I mean, most of the time they're men. I rarely, if ever, see women in this, weird hustle culture scam place. But, these dudes are, running around, and how are they not getting arrested? I don't understand.
Basically because... So the thing about taking money from people, if you want to scam people, you would think that the way to do it is scam rich people, but that's not true. The trick is to scam a lot of poor people. That way they don't have money to sue you. So that's how they get away with it. They trick a bunch of basically desperate people who are broke. And if you try to, what are you going to do? I mean, right? What's your recourse? Are you going to sue them? Well, they're just going to fight you with the money you paid them. And it's you don't have any money to take them to court. So, yeah, it's messed up. I mean, it's messed up. They just have no representation in any kind of government or anything like that. The FTC is underfunded. There's a million reasons why, but it's the U.S. has a weird thing, where as long as you put some disclaimer at the very bottom of your webpage, we pretend oh yeah, you didn't say what you just said 2 seconds ago. At the top of the page, they go, oh, you make $1 million, so fast, get rich quick, and then at the bottom, you know how it is. They're yeah, this course will absolutely do nothing for you, and we make no representations of blah blah blah. And then if you take them to court, they're going to go, well, see, we told you that you're not going to be successful, and you weren't.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's such a cop-out, honestly. I mean, with you doing this, I'd imagine these dudes... I mean, well, first of all, who is it? John Crestani? I've seen him comment on videos of yours that aren't videos about him, and he's one of those gurus that...
He's a fan! I don't understand it. He's a fan of the stuff I do. This is the craziest thing, Diesel. I kid you not, so many times... These guys come up to me behind the scenes, or Cristani, I'll just say it in public. He'll just be dude, love that you're, talking about these guys. There's so many scammers in this business. And, you look at them dude, you're one of the scammers. What are you talking about? But they're really love what you did about that guy. And just wait. And they'll send me tips. They'll go, wait till you get a load of this guy. And they'll send me one of their friends.
No way.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. They backstab each other. I have to be careful because sometimes, people will use the tip line, because I'll just have people email me tips to try to basically eliminate competition, because they're yeah, check out, get a load of this scammer, and you come to find out that they're a guru trying to basically get you to sabotage their competition so they can get ahead. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh my god, there's so many of them on YouTube. There was this one guy, I won't say who he is because I might do a video on him myself, but I'll tell you after. But he started his channel where he's basically doing video essays on manipulative business kind of deal.
I know who it is.
You know who this is.
I already know who it is.
Yeah, he did the economy of war dogs and the mob and yeah. And I saw he had a class on building a good resume. So I'm what's this? And I click on it and I get these 6 different tips that if you go to university, every university wants to make sure all their graduates get hired because it helps make them look better. So they have a system in place. I've been to 2 different colleges, and then all the colleges I had visited, this is a thing that happens. But he's oh, they don't help you at all. And it's just an upsell to a course that he has to have your dream job, and how he became a web developer at 19. I'm really beating around the bush with who this is, but yeah.
No. But here's the things that gets me about all of them. The classic stereotype is that these guys who are supposed to sell you the secret to life are themselves children. Like they're 19 years old or 22 years old or 25. Like they don't know. They don't have any life experience at all. Like I'm not going to go out. I'm 26. I'm not going to go out and tell you guys how to live your life because I feel like I don't have it figured out. Why would I tell you? But somehow, it takes a level of sociopathy to think, oh yeah, at 20 years old, I can charge $2,000 for my wisdom. Forget all these professors over at college, dude. What do they have, PhDs, bro? I got a PhD in hard knocks. It's ridiculous.
No, yeah, I saw like the tips he was offering, and all I could think was like, literally anybody could get this information online.
It's not,
and then some of them are just straight up lying.
No, it's not just ridiculous. It's just goofy, and it all comes from a philosophy pushed by Russell Brunson, which is basically you don't actually have to be an expert to position yourself as an expert. You just have to know how to like basically package your ideas as quote secrets, and then all you need is just a little bit of knowledge, and you should just sell to people who know nothing. And so you just pretend to be an expert. It's like saying, oh yeah, I'm a doctor because you took biology 101. Let me tell you all the secrets that doctors won't tell you about, like how to keep your health, right? And then people who've never taken Bio 101 say like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. They think they're going to live forever, and they take your course, and they don't, obviously. But it's like, that's the insane philosophy behind it. It all comes from Russell Brunson with he has this book called Expert Secrets, where he told all these 19-year-olds that they should go sell their wisdom to the world, and thus the spawn and scourge of fake gurus was born. A bunch of 25-year-old nothings trying to sell their wisdom to other 25-year-old nothings. And yeah, it's just stupid.
Jesus.
And I just try to call it out.
Like, why'd you even get into this crusade?
I was pissed, dude. Like all great ideas, like all great ideas, it was spawned like just sometimes you're surfing YouTube and sometimes I just get like mad by some of the stuff that gets all these views. I was watching this guy, and it's not that I'm jealous. It's just that I get mad when I see someone deceiving other people, if that makes sense. That's when I get mad if something's popping off. I get mad if it's like fake, right? So I was watching these 20-year-olds just basically sell themselves as millionaires, and I know they're not millionaires, and I know the Lambo's rented, the house is rented, and yet they have a bunch of other like young people in their chat being like, oh my gosh, bro, mentor me. Hey, be my guru. And so I made a one-off rant about Ty Lopez mini-me's. Like all the Ty Lopez copycats that came out after like 2016, whenever he did his big ad push or whenever that was. And that kind of popped off. I just did it as a one-off. I mean, my channel wasn't about that. And people really like resonated with that. They're like, that's so true, man. But why don't you check out this guy? And so I was like, let me check it out. And then I got more, incensed because then it was like a stock trader, Ricky Gutierrez, who's like telling people, oh yeah, shoot for a conservative 2% return a day. It's like, dude, Warren Buffett's not even scraping that. he dreams of 2% a day. And Ricky Gutierrez is telling his little army of, 5-year-olds to go do that. So then I got madder and I was like, oh, let me rant about this. And it kind of snowballed from there. I mean, yeah, I just don't like seeing people get ripped off. And so that was sort of pushed the content along.
I mean, I'd imagine you've spoken about it yourself on your channel where you're like, these dudes, they come after you, right? Like, they don't like what you're doing at all. No,
yeah. They come after me, and yeah, in a variety of ways. Like some like legal, some. So I've had people show up giving me cease and desist letters. I've had people email me cease and desist letters. Like some people, I won't name names here, but they wrote up their own cease and desist letter and like misspelled my name, and like sometimes it's really amateur. Sometimes it's very professional, like it's obviously written by some high-powered lawyer. I've had, PR companies come after me. Like there's this nice lady calls me. She's like, hey, we'd really appreciate it if you'd remove this video. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. She's like, well, we'd really appreciate it because we wouldn't want things to go south. I was like, what does south mean? Because she's so nice. Like she's so nice on the phone. I'm like, what's south? Like, she's like, well, we'd prefer not to talk about that. We just prefer if you take this video down. And I was like, no, you're pretending to be nice, but you're like holding this threat over my head. Are you going to do something or not? She's like, well, we just rather not cross that bridge. And so I've had that. I've had people try to buy out my channel to try to get me to stop making videos. They like literally offered me $50,000 to just buy my channel right out from under me. It's been weird, dude. Like, yeah, people, crazy stuff. They've come after me in a variety of ways.
That is the only time I've ever heard of like actual, legal repercussions. Because even when I do videos on like, I don't know, some internet weirdo like, I don't know, Yandere Dev, right? I'm not expecting Yandere Dev to bring lawyers to my house and screw me over or something, or and it's like it's always a constant fear in the back of my head. I don't know how you deal with like the possibility that one day some dude might be taking you to court over you making a joke about his 10x income day trading lifestyle bullshit.
Yeah, it's so goofy. I mean, like, to be clear, nobody actually has sued me yet, and I think that's for a couple reasons. I think number one, I stay pretty clear. I usually stay pretty clear in the line of like, there's defamation laws, and I've learned my way around them. But also, you have to get liability insurance if you're going to do this. I don't know if you have that.
No, I need that. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's like lawsuit insurance. Basically, if you get sued, it covers it.
Huh. Okay.
Nobody in commentary has this. It's like the thing that I always tell this to commentary YouTubers. I'm like, if you're going to talk about big people, if they sue you, you're screwed unless you have some kind of coverage. My a buddy of mine on YouTube, Meet Kevin. Have you heard of this guy?
Oh, did we lose him? I think we might have lost him.
I lost you just 1 second.
Oh no. Oh, yeah, you had cut out for a second.
Yeah. So where'd I cut out?
Yeah.
Where'd I cut out?
You said that if like a YouTuber gets sued, they're screwed.
Yeah, no. And I only found that out because I know this other YouTuber, Meet Kevin. I don't know if you know who that is. Meet Kevin.
No, I
don't. He got
sued
sued by Grant Cardone, and he basically one day just texted me. He goes, dude, if you're going to continue to do what you do, take it from me. You can save yourself tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, fighting these cases if you just buy some liability insurance. And so I took his advice, and I can finally sleep peacefully at night, because there was a few months there where I was like, I was not covered, and I was just making these, balls to the wall pieces, and you have to be protected. That's how like Fox News, all these like news orgs get away with saying the things they say. Well, that's how they don't get sued into oblivion, is they have some kind of lawsuit insurance.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's definitely what's pushed me away from more, because it was, I can't give the name, but it was a company that makes adult related content, and they weren't paying employees, and I had like written up this big investigative piece, and I went to the company, and their lawyers responded to me saying, you want to stop. And I'm like, well, this isn't good.
Man, publish the video, ask questions later, beg forgiveness later.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that, and then I was just like, and then like like COVID started up, and it was just like, now is not the time to be fighting a lawsuit.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's why I end up doing like the really puff piece stuff. For example, something I keep saying I'm gonna do, and I keep tweeting about how I'm gonna do it, and then I don't do it because I'm so worried. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, right? But like, I always think like, what if these guys have money to like put someone in the ground, And something I was looking into, like, they definitely have money to put people in the ground. I mean, I'm not like, you're where in Texas, right? So that's like, I mean, you could put whoever shows up at your door into the ground there. I don't know.
Are you talking about literally?
Like literally people coming to your house or like trying to do something, like violent, or people like threatening you?
No, I mean, it's at the end of the day, this is business we're talking about. This is not like, I don't know. I find that more when egos get involved, you get kind of more of that stuff. But, I'm talking about people with businesses. And if they're going to respond, they're going to respond legally. They're going to say what you said was not free speech. It was defamation. And then my lawyers will respond. I don't really worry about that stuff. Most of the people I talk about, even though they're kind of like, I think of a lot of them as kind of sociopaths. I think it's against their self-interest, and therefore I think that's not really a problem. I think people more fighting higher up people. Like, I think if you're, talking about the Clintons or like somebody with real power, no, like somebody with real power, or Trump or any of these guys, like that's more when you got to worry about actual, threats. You look at Julian Assange, if you betray the state, like that's when you actually got to worry about that stuff. I feel, just to me. Or if you piss off some Houston rapper, but like I don't feel like if you piss off some businessman, it's going to go that way.
I don't know. I look at some of them, and this is just like a personality opinion assessment, but I look at like a person like Grant Cardone. He just comes off as just in another place.
He's a sociologist, or not a Scientologist, not a sociologist. He's a Scientologist. And those people are wild about their retaliations. They will show up to your house.
The internet
They'll post posters about you, like false allegations around your neighborhood. They're crazy. Oh, I think I lost you again. Dang.
Yeah, I know. It keeps happening.
Discord
of course, today
sucks,
of all days.
dude.
I never have problems.
Dude,
but,
let's get on Zoom and have all our data stolen by the Chinese. Come on.
I kept trying to fight that for my university with Zoom, and now I just can't.
Are you in college right now?
Yeah, I'm still in college. I added on an extra year because I transferred.
What are you studying, and where are you at?
So I won't say where I'm at now because I don't want people to show up.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, I used to study game production and management with a focus in esports management, and now I do film production because I thought, oh, this YouTube channel is gonna pick up, and then so I went to film school. I have neither made a single movie nor held a camera in my classes.
I don't know. Yeah. Are you learning in it? Do you feel like it's valuable what you're learning, or no?
I mean, like, I have a greater appreciation for like I had to take like a Roman war history class, and now I fucking love the history of Rome and like ancient Greece and like basically the cradle of Western civilization history. That stuff I love, and I'd like to think I could have a decent conversation about that stuff. And then like world religions and different like anthropological stuff, I have a lot of like I had to take a lot of classes and all that. But I don't know I'm ever going to use it.
Well, you're definitely not. I mean, judging from what the list you just rattled off, none of that seems job relevant. But I mean, yeah, no, I went to college. So I find that a lot of that stuff, it kind of broadens your interests. And I think that's a good thing, whether or not it becomes like pertinent to your job. I think it's just nice to be a well-rounded individual. So I don't know.
No, it definitely helps. I mean, I talked to some commentary channels that like they came out of high school, now they do it full time, and they really struggle to talk about different topics outside of like the niche of the job.
Anything, like all they can talk about is YouTube. Yeah, I know a few of those guys for sure. Which isn't, it's not a bad thing, but it's nice to, talk about other things. It's weird because a lot of people would think that I'm against college, because I'm very much against like predatory, programs that are trying to teach you something but actually are not that valuable. But basically my rationale has always been that college at least gives you a net plus. Like when you look at the statistics of, what you'll make over your lifetime, it's a net plus. Whereas none of these courses can ever, they don't have any of that kind of data behind them. But don't you think that like, I'm getting the feeling increasingly that college is just a losing bargain? Like, I think for people going into college nowadays, it's even a bigger question than it was, a few years ago when I was in college. Don't you think?
Yeah, and I think it very much it depends on the field.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
I have spent more time outside of school, like building like my videography and photography business, and working on that portfolio on my own time and doing that. And teaching myself skills outside of the classroom, and like occasionally it'll help there, but when you get into college, you realize that most of the students there just want to be handed a degree, and then especially if it's like an artsy skill, they think, oh, if I go here, it'll just teach me the thing and then I'll be good at it. That's not how it works. You can't just put in the time like in class and then instantly become good, you know? And that happens all the time. And especially now with COVID, like I would say if you're thinking of applying to go in the next semester, realize it'll be online and you won't learn anything.
Yeah, no, dude, you should not be going to college. Like, it's a tough time to be going to college right now. I would have taken it if I was in college right now. I would have taken a gap year. I think the most valuable thing for college for me was just the people I met. And I think that's still the value proposition of college, is that you get around a bunch of like-minded people who are kind of going in a positive direction in life, rather than, you know, who the people who were my acquaintances in high school who sort of were not going in such a positive direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that definitely makes a difference. And that's why like visiting the schools are important, because you go around and you're like, oh, do I want to be around these type of people? Like, do I want to be this kind of person? Like, I didn't do that when I transferred to this film school, and now I'm surrounded by a bunch of like silver spoon up the ass rich kids, and I cannot stand it.
Oh my gosh, dude. How did we get on college? I feel bad. I feel bad. I feel like people
I have
didn't
no
sign
idea.
up to talk about this.
No, I like going off on these tangents.
Okay, cool. I didn't know how you.
It definitely helps.
Okay. All right.
And the whole like idea of the podcast was based around, you know, kind of people in that age range and kind of stuff like that. Because when I did Loudmouse, which is the podcast I did before this, it was like comedy based, and it was really meant for people like 12 to 16, like high school, you know. And I just don't want to aim at that like audience anymore. So that's why I try to get more educational based people on here. That's kind of why I wanted to get you on, because you understand how these scams work, right? And how they're targeting people. Like, I'll see it on campus where these guys are like, they'll put out like flyers in person, like they'll hire somebody to put it on campus, you know, where it's like, oh, if you follow this or go to this business, right, we'll make you, you know, self-employed. And then you find out it's like an Avon pyramid scheme kind of deal.
Oh, those people at the war. I don't understand how MLMs are still a thing. That baffles me and gives me such little hope that these scams will ever be properly like brought to justice. The fact that MLMs, which are, you know, you can talk to any economist or mathematician, they don't make sense. Like, except for 99% of the people by the math have to be losing money for the people at the top for the compensation plan to like work as it's intended, right? Which they hide with these you have like complicated compensation plans. Have you ever noticed, like, have you ever seen a compensation plan at an MLM? It's like, yeah, we have 6 different levels, and if you go to here, you get 10% and 5% of every upline, and then a compensation bonus, and you get an override bonus. Like, have you ever noticed how unnecessarily complicated they are?
Of course.
Yeah, it's just,
I mean, they have like diamond levels and gold levels, and they're like weird and tiered.
But have you ever wondered why, though? Why are they so complicated?
Because it helps obfuscate the reality of what's happening.
Yes,
there.
and that's so crazy to me. Like, you go to a job and they're like, yeah, you're gonna make, you know, $60,000 a year. It's like clear. It's clear what you're gonna be making. You go to an MLM, they're like, yeah, we're gonna transfer your funds into, you know, sunshine dollars, and then you can exchange those over here. And once you get your unicorn status, then you can do a car override and you get your car boat. Like, it's just crazy. And it's, you know, it's just set up by these hucksters. But the fact that that's not prosecuted as like a criminal thing gives me very little hope for any kind of government intervention, which is why I view what I do to be, you know, I try not to get too self-important about any of this, because I do think at the end of the day, I'm just kind of making YouTube videos. But I do think it's important for somebody to be pointing out the fact that this stuff is scamming people, it is harming people, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, yeah, I think it's a great service what you're doing, honestly, because, you know, somebody will Google this person and your video will come up. That could help push them away from like losing thousands of dollars, you know? Like, there's a real impact you'll have on people.
Yeah, I think for the edge case, I do think there's some people who they just want to believe in the dream. What you kind of find, which is sad, is some people, they'll kind of put their heads in the sand because they so badly want to believe that getting rich is just about like buying a $2,000 course from Dan Locke, that they will ignore all evidence to the contrary until they get scammed, and then they come to me and say, "Oh, you were right all along," whatever. But I do think there are some people who they're on that edge case. They're wondering. They're really actually trying to figure out if it's real or not. And those are the people that I'm targeting by videos.
Yeah. Going back to the MLM thing for a second, right?
Sure.
I look at that and I see the tiered system, and then you say, "Oh, well, this is structured like a pyramid," and you say that to somebody, and they say, "Well, all business is structured like a pyramid." What's your response to that?
Yeah, but other jobs you actually make a paycheck. These jobs you don't. Like at the bottom, you are paying money in. You are paying the people at the top to have a job. That's not a real job. A job where you pay for the job is not a job. It's so stupid, dude. It's
it's a very cyclical thinking, because the response to that is, "Well, I have to buy the inventory to make a sale."
No, and to be clear, what makes a pyramid scheme, what makes it like an illegal thing, is how you make money is by recruiting people underneath you. So that's where the pyramid comes in. There aren't jobs where that is true. Like as like a fry cook at McDonald's, I don't have to go recruit 12,000 other fry cooks to become a manager, right? Like that's not a thing that I have to do. So that's why it's not a pyramid scheme. But the fundamental currency of pyramid schemes are other people who buy into the quote dream, and then they have to go recruit people. And it's like famous. I mean, John Oliver popularized it. But if you did that 5 times, you'd run out of people on Earth. Like if everyone just got 2 more friends and they got 2 more friends, you'd run out of people like in a very short amount of time. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, people, I feel like they're falling for it more now than ever. I mean, partially because like the economy is super, super all over the place right now. But then like there's this weird, I don't know if it's a cultural shift or it's always existed, but like, I don't know, there's been like the growing concept of like the hustle culture kind of deal. That's been like I think it's kind of a problem.
Oh, it's no. I think you're actually right. I read a paper on the SSRN the other day called Towards an Unentrepreneurial Society or Economy, and it was basically like the rise of the fake entrepreneur. And what it was talking about is there's this business now of being in the business of selling to wannabe entrepreneurs, and how that those people are basically, this guy basically studied it, and he found out that it's promoting a lower quality of entrepreneurship, not just because they're rent seeking and like taking struggling entrepreneurs' money who are already vulnerable, which means that they could they're sooner to drop out because they have less money even now because they bought all your stupid courses. But also, it also makes everyone think that they can be Steve Jobs. Like there's such a culture of, oh yeah, man, just drop out like Steve Jobs, and oh yeah, you don't have to go to school. Like look at Bill Gates or whatever. Like look at Zuckerberg, or look at Elon Musk. Just be like them. And that kind of thing of like anyone can go create the next Facebook or whatever. In some ways, for the few who actually do succeed, maybe it was good advice, but it's sort of like telling everyone, oh yeah, everyone could go be an actor in Hollywood. It's like, yeah, no, that's not true. Just the numbers don't even make sense there. I agree with you. And you're right. It all comes down to this attitude. The reason people think they can be Steve Jobs is because the idea that any of these people had talent or pre-existing genius is eliminated, and it's replaced with Gary Vee's idea of, bro, have you ever considered not sleeping? Have you ever thought of that as an option? Just don't sleep. Just work 24/7 all the time, and then you'll be successful. Like me, Gary Vee.
I was looking like maybe I could find like a corporate media job, and I saw Gary Vee's company, because I think they have like something in New York, and they had an internship listed. And when you're like looking for those things and then it's just listing off like you need to be able to do everything, it was like one of those. And also they weren't going to pay you.
yeah. You need to be a quant. You need to have a PhD in psychology and computer science, and we will have you pay us $5 an hour. No, it's.
And I think people like Gary Vee though for his personality, because he doesn't come off as like maybe he does a little. He comes off as like a coke addict on social media. I don't know of another way to explain how the vibe comes off, but I don't know. It's just like people seem to like his personality. I mean, like, wasn't he in a Casey Neistat video at one point? Like,
yeah, Casey Neistat really likes well, they share like the whole grind it mentality, grind it out, never sleep. And look, that's not bad. I really do think that Gary Vee, is actually has some good ideas. I don't think you should just dismiss him the way you should dismiss people like I don't know, Dan Locke or like Kevin David or these guys. I think he does have something to say, but take it with a gigantic Gary Vee-sized grain of salt, because at the end of the day, a lot of luck was involved that Gary Vee will not acknowledge. A lot of other factors are involved besides just work hard.
Yeah, no, I think people don't realize the amount that... I think it was Veritasium that did a video about how luck plays a role in people's success. I might be mixing up science YouTubers there, but
no, that's right.
It's like, people are going out trying to be the next Elon Musk, but they don't realize the things that allowed Elon Musk to be Elon Musk. That's like he's a abnormality statistically, and people don't realize that.
Yeah, I think it's fine to want to be Elon Musk too, by the way. I think you just have to understand your odds of success, and you have to understand, that it's not just this guaranteed thing like a lot of these guys say it is. Because what they'll say is, well, bro, you just got to follow the blueprint. That's a super common thing in the world that I inhabit of like self-help. Hey, bro, success leaves tracks. You got to follow the success footprints. Follow the blueprint, and you won't be there's no way you cannot be successful if you just follow the success blueprint. And there could be nothing further from the truth, because the success blueprint is constantly changing. Like, you can't go create Facebook today. You can't go create MySpace. You can't be the next Tom. There was one Tom. He did the thing. And then you had to be Mark Zuckerberg next time with a better idea. So the idea that you can just go copy what other successful people are doing is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's super ridiculous. And I think probably where it gets the most over the top is the... I think earlier you were talking about, people getting returns on day trading where they'd be richer than Warren Buffett. And I watched your interview. Oh my God, he wasn't a day trader. He was like an actual
hedge fund manager. Yeah.
Yeah. Where people are like, what the fuck is this 10x thing? And like, what is the theory behind this?
Oh, dude. Well, the theory is YOLO Robinhood. It's a very complicated theory. It's a bunch of uneducated traders who basically think that fundamentally it preys on the Dunning-Kruger effect. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
So when you first get into trading, you learn a few strategies, you learn a couple things, and all of a sudden you think you're God's gift to the market, right? You think you're God's gift to the S&P, and you make a few lucky calls. And the famous thing is like it's a gambler fallacy. You think you have a hot hand. And so these people think, they're wildly successful, and they make they have one good month of 10%. And they think, oh yeah, I can just repeat that. And what they don't know is coming right around the turn is, the month they lose 50% of their portfolio. So it's a combination of those guys following other uninformed people, or those guys making courses themselves and selling it to people, selling like their, stock picks and whatever. And basically people trade it, they lose a bunch of money, and they get their account gets wiped out. But it's really sad. Yeah. And they just promote these wild returns that if you know anything about finance, it's ridiculous, but if you don't know anything, you can just kind of easily be led astray. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if there's like a good analog. It's like how if you're into like weightlifting or something like that, if a guy's on steroids, whereas if you know nothing about it, you kind of can get deceived. I don't know what a good analog for this is, for like how uneducated traders get so easily swept away by these charlatans. But I think it's easy. I think it's important to say, look, why do I care? Part of it's because people are getting scammed. Also, there's an ungodly amount of money these people are making. I think it's important to highlight for your audience. At one point, I saw one of these gurus' returns. They had like 1 million subscribers. They were making $10 million a month off a course.
Jesus.
Yeah. And this is a person with like a laundry list of victims. Everyone's speaking out, but they still are getting this pipeline of just suckers. And they're taking $10 million a month from their viewers. So they're getting rich while saying that they're rich. They're saying, hey, come become rich. And that's how they're getting so wildly rich. It's just crazy.
I honestly, the amount of returns they're getting off of scamming people is bananas. And I mean, like, now the whole stock thing, because, like when you're younger, people are like, oh, you need to get into stocks if you want to make money. But nobody really understands that. But now there's all these like brokerage accounts you can open on your phone. And I'm not saying they're bad, but it's like Wall Street bets, super awful place to take advice from. Because it's just a bunch of people being, I'm going to bet $1,000 on this thing.
It's gambling.
Yeah.
No, dude, like, it's the great thing about Robinhood is it gave the market to everyone. The terrible thing about Robinhood is it gave the market to everyone. It's like, it didn't make anyone smarter with the market. It just handed it to everyone. I think the market's one of those interesting places that if you can just get it through your skull, that if you can just be comfortable, I should say, with passive investing, you can get 98% of the juice out of the stock market and put in like 2% of the time. And it's a bargain I don't understand why everyone isn't making. Like, I get it. If you want to be super into the stock market and trade in and out all day, if it just interests you like a video game would, I get it. But when you look at the statistics over time, you're gonna underperform just investing in a index fund. Like, everybody is what's called underperforming, meaning they're making less money than if you literally just set your money there and left it alone. So people are spending time to make less money. It blows my mind every time I think about it.
I mean, it's big business for a lot of these guys. I mean, just watching how they manipulate the words and language of that, because people haven't read anything about it. And it's, I mean, to be honest, most investing books are like things to teach you about finance. It's like, oh, math, I didn't like that in school. Or it's like, oh, I don't understand what an ETF is, or like I had to understand, like after I watched the interview you did, I had to look up what like capital loss and gains were for if you like trade something within a month. Oh, and I was like, yeah. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no, I know. And that's honestly, that's fine. You don't need to look, most people, that's what I'm saying. It like takes a lifetime to learn this stock market game. So just don't play it. Just get in some passive fund and like just let your money literally sit there. Like I said, you can get all the benefits from all these great companies with none, like, you're instantly diversified in a lot of these index funds because you're just spread across multiple stocks. You're investing in these like solid stocks with year over year performance. There's basically no guessing involved because you're just sitting there. You're just, hedging across all, a bunch of different asset classes. I don't know. I don't understand why people don't do it. No, I shouldn't say not asset classes, a bunch of different industries, I should say. So I don't understand kind of the logic there. I think a lot of people do just want to go to Vegas, I guess. I don't know what other way to say it. It's like everyone knows you lose money at Vegas, but everyone goes to Vegas. I don't know.
I always he's a power lifter. His name's CT Fletcher. He used to hold the bench world record, and he's like, everybody wants to lift heavy weights, but nobody wants to lift heavy ass weights. Like, nobody wants to put into work, but they want to have the results.
Yeah.
Of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like everybody wants to believe there's a secret too. Everyone wants to believe that, oh yeah, if I just buy this guy's course who has a six pack, I'll have a six pack. It's like, no. That guy just followed the same common sense advice that everyone's been following for years. It's so dumb.
Yeah. I particularly hate fitness gurus because I used to be like 300 pounds right? And I lost that weight, and I did it
Congrats.
by
That's pretty
eating
big.
healthy and all that. And hey, no, quarantine's definitely had me put on some pounds. I will say that. There's like I did a video on him recently. His name's Kino Body, and he's a trust fund baby, which is always great. But his like concept is like, oh, you need to intermittent fast and wake up at like 6 a.m. and do all this like crazy shit that people can't do because they don't have the massive amount of wealth he has. But there's a lot of those guys who just go around selling ridiculous supplements when in reality the things you should be, or I mean, if you want to look like them, what you should be taking is the under the counter kind of stuff, But it's everywhere. It blows my mind how many industries it's in. Even in YouTube, there's guys who run channels about how to grow a channel.
The secrets to YouTube. You'll never believe this one hack that will get you viral. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. What's a good example of that? I think he used to run a network, the Freedom Network, and now he's just like fucked off in some island in the middle of the ocean, because he's incredibly wealthy now. But there was like that entire moment in time when he was just using that to get a bunch of small channels in and capitalize on the revenue from that. But none of these channels ever saw anything massive, but he did. So
yeah, it's just a bunch of shovel salesmen. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. They're shovel salesmen telling you to go find gold, and they make a lot of money. And almost always, you're making nearly nothing. What I tell people is like, try to escape the spoon-fed mentality of high school, and sometimes of college too. You can see it in some college students as well, where you just think that life's going to be handed to you on a silver platter. You think there's a formula. You think there's one right answer, and there's not, man. There's not a shortcut. There's not a 5-minute cram session before the test. There's no secrets. And that's what I try to tell people, because you'll avoid all the scams. Like, you don't need me to tell you about all the scams if you just basically figure that out for yourself and realize that you have nobody to lean on for learning skills but yourself. And actually, by learning to learn, you build a global skill, and you don't need anybody anymore. You don't need anybody for anything, really, if you just know how to learn it yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. I mean, probably one of the things that being in quarantine so long has taught me is how to teach myself things. And I just wasn't doing that before. But it really, stuff like that does make a difference. Like, I always tell people, like, to read more books, because it really does make a difference. Granted, there's a lot of garbage books as well, but there's a lot of great information out there that people just don't take advantage of. Like, I know in one of your videos you said like people are all taking these classes, but they've never gone to the library. And it's like, damn,
they've never swiped their library card. It's crazy. We are in a world of unlimited information. Like the scale, the amount of information you have at your fingertips is not even. You could not compare it to any other generation because it's so astronomically different. And yet people who are working minimum wage jobs are spending thousands of dollars on courses. Explain that to me, Diesel. Explain
it. People just want that success. They just want the success without putting it into work, I think. I mean, I don't want to be like that because some people are just desperate. Well, that's what I get it,
and that's why I get mad at the people preying on desperation rather than the desperate. Because there's always going to be desperate people, but what I don't like is the scam artists who go in there and go, hey, you looking for a shortcut? Hey, I'm going to backdoor to being a millionaire, and they know they're lying. They know they're rent seeking on poor people, and they don't care.
How do those people stomach it, or do they just like? What is it? The guy who looks like a weasel that hangs out with Tony Robbins. Like, how do they stomach it? I don't get it.
I know what you're talking about. Well, they sort of buy into their own, system, I guess, where basically their mentality is the only people who could possibly fail at their money-making course is people who didn't try hard enough. So therefore, if you failed, you must not have tried. Because obviously the information's there, right? Obviously, nothing wrong with their information. Anyone can become a millionaire overnight. It's so easy to do. So if you fail, it's your fault. And that's where there's a lot of victim blaming in this stuff, like where you go to these course sellers afterwards. You go, hey, I didn't make 5 figures a month after, 3 months in. And they tell you, well, it must be your fault because all my students are all successful. So I think that's how they get away with it. They hold on to their, 0.1% success stories who probably would have been successful anyways. They tout those around, and then they ignore, silence, blame, or sue their victims. And yes, they will sue their victims if they speak out.
That's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting because those people can't afford to fight at the beginning.
Dude, can I tell you one story? So, one of these guys that I cover, I don't want to say his name because, just in case I make a video about it, but he had this disgruntled student who was actually sort of this older woman. She was a substitute teacher whose son was, thinking about committing suicide. And so she decided, I need to make more money and get a job that I can work from home so I can be with my son because he needs mental health help. And I can't afford to pay for it on my, substitute teacher salary. I want to be home with him more, etc. So she takes this guy's course. Obviously, it's a gigantic fail. Now she's in debt, whatever. And she goes, okay, well, I'm going to try to help people who are going into this because I'm like really worried. Like other people are going to get scammed. I'm like, my life is so much worse off. I quit my job, whatever. She tries to tell people how to get refunds and like tries to help people. He sues her. He sues this former substitute teacher with a suicidal son. And by the way, I'm almost 100% sure that he knew what her situation was because that's what their closers always ask in the closing calls. They go, what's really hurting you right now? And so she probably laid out the whole sob story, and they sue him anyways.
That's absolutely horrible. That's horrible. That's like a movie villain level shitty right there.
Oh, it's horrible. It is.
So tips on how to spot this. I mean, like, I think it's rather easy because, if this channel did have ads, I would probably get ads for like, people that are
you don't have any
drop
ads?
shipping or something. Not on the podcast channel, no, not yet.
Oh, okay. Tips on how to spot it. Yeah, I would say if you think to yourself, wow, I don't know, this kind of sounds sketchy, it already is a scam. Like 100% of the time. Anytime if you have to ask, is this a scam? It's like having to say, if you have to say, oh, I'm not racist, guys, but, that kind of thing. If you have to ask yourself, well, this seems like a scam, but just run away, dude. Just don't even mess with it. Steer clear of it. I get emails all the time, and it just constantly, and gets to me where people go, well, you called out dropshipper A, but now I saw the dropshipping king opened up his course, and I'm kind of thinking about taking it. And it's like, yeah, they're the same person. So I don't know. It's basically common sense. It's like what you said, but no, more than anything, I would just tell people like there are no shortcuts. There's only, being smart, working smart, trying to build skills, and get used to the fact that success might take a long time. Like get used to the fact that your career path, if it's not, being an engineer or something that's more stable, if you want to do something like me and Diesel are doing, like as a YouTuber or any of these career paths that are kind of treacherous, just get used to the fact it might take you a decade. It's fine.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, like before this, I told you I've been making content since I was 12 years old.
Yeah, you've been in it a decade.
And now, like in the last 2 years, it became something where I'm like, okay, I think I could call this a job. But there's all that time that was I was not successful.
And
nobody was watching the content.
Nobody sees it. They just go, what's your secret? And it's like, you can't condense 10 years of wisdom and actually transmit that to somebody in the same way that, like, if you're a professional pianist, you can't just make someone into that. They have to just, there's no escaping just putting in the time.
Yeah, that's for sure. You need to put in the work. That just needs to happen. Speaking of pianos, though, I've noticed you also do just use a piano occasionally. There's been musical instruments in the background of your videos. Do you play?
Oh yeah, man.
I mean,
I love,
assumedly, yeah, you do. But.
yeah, no, I love playing, and I'm trying to incorporate it more. I've actually got my I'm setting up like kind of a virtual studio right now, and I've got this pretty cool like grand piano scene that I plan to use a lot, where it's like. Anyway, I don't want to nerd out here, but yeah, we'll be using it more. I'll just say that.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine to nerd out, but like, I had noticed you like use the piano. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I always try to find out what people are doing like outside of their channels. And occasionally some people are like, I make content. That's it. That's all I do. But most of the time. People are like, I do this outside of what I'm doing. Like,
here, I'm going to share a screenshot real quick with you. Yeah, no, I totally agree. There's one of our renders.
From the $10 million.
Yeah, that's right, baby.
Studio.
$10 million studio.
Speaking of YouTube, though, you ran Coffeebreak for a while, and then that kind of stopped. Did you are you leaving that channel for good? Or
I don't know. I feel like it's such a disservice to all the work I put in to leave it. But I also, the content that I'm wanting to do right now is so different from what I was doing that I feel like if I upload on that channel content that's not Coffeebreak content, it's kind of weird. It's like people didn't sign up for that. You ever feel like that? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like that. I don't know. I'll try and incorporate more filmic-y stuff into my videos, and nobody wants to watch it, but I do it for myself anyway because I'm like, down the line if I need a transition from commentary because this is a very treacherous genre of YouTube to be in.
Yeah, dude. Susan's not your friend if you're a commentary YouTuber.
Oh man.
Unless your name starts with H.
Oh, I wonder who that could be.
Who could it be?
Yeah, but it's like you'll do something different, and then your very core audience will be like, "Wow, I like how you did this. It's very creative." And then nobody will watch it because it's not, I don't know, some bungling fucking moron saying a swear word on Discord or something. And it is like stressful. So I mean I understand why you would kind of go back and forth on whether or not you'd keep doing it, but I don't know. I'd feel worried about not uploading for so long.
Dude, well, and then the stress from not uploading makes you never want to think about uploading because every time I think about, I should upload a video to Coffeebreak, it's been so long. The anxiety and terror of uploading to 5 people sets in, and then I'm like, I don't want to think about this. I'd rather go to Coffeezilla. So yeah, I need to upload there though because I have this video about the trending tab 2.0 that I've been working on, and it's massive and it's really cool, great data, secrets of the trending tab, stuff like that. And I just haven't gotten to it because I've just been just sort of doing other stuff.
I mean, if you upload a video like that to Coffeebreak, I am certain it would bang because all the other YouTubers would talk about that, I mean, that's basically what helped put a guy like Nerd City on the map, the incredibly in-depth detail, also the production value with his channel
Nerd City's
is
just
ridiculous.
Yeah. Sexy boy.
But it's like those things, that would bang. But I understand the fear, with doing that because there's so much expectation because you haven't uploaded in so long.
I know, and then you have to do you address it? Do you just not address it? I don't know, man. And at the end of the day, it's so funny to me because I know people don't care. They're like, oh, cool, you uploaded finally. Nobody's sitting around going, man, where's the next coffee break? Not really. So I don't know where this anxiety comes from, and I try to just remind myself to just ignore it. I hate when other YouTubers obsess over kind of analytics and stuff, so I try not to. I try to remind myself that I sound like a douchebag whenever I do that. Or not even that, I think it's just the wrong thing to worry about is engagement and all that kind of stuff.
I get why YouTubers do worry about, the analytics pretty hard because, that determines the income and
No,
all
it
that.
makes total sense. But most of the time, the thinking is so short term, and they're missing the larger picture of like, hey, maybe you should think about the content you're uploading, not how this video performed. Like usually your video's performance today is actually more about your last 5 videos than it is about this video in particular. You know what I mean? Like if your last 5 videos were bangers, your audience wants to watch it, right? Like you don't need the most incredible thumbnail. But a lot of YouTubers, myself included a lot, we just get wrapped up in analytics that by themselves don't tell the whole story, but we think it does because it's the only quantifiable metric we have. And that's a huge bias, like the quantifiable bias. You are only paying attention to the metrics you have kind of a grip on, and you don't pay attention to the super important qualitative metrics, but that are just simply harder to measure, like audience satisfaction, how good your content is. You can't measure that, so you don't think about it, but it's actually way more important.
No, yeah, definitely for sure. It's like, it's the little things that can help make your content better. That I think a lot of people just get kind of into the rut of like, I gotta upload, and it's just like, I get that if you're trying to really grow your brand, because if like when I was uploading daily, when I was like first trying to get to 100K, then that really mattered for engagement. But then the game changes like all the time as well. So it's really hard to like narrow down. But with Coffeezilla, I think, people like your personality. Like you have a really good personality when you're like goofing on these gurus. Like with Coffeebreak, people appreciate the videos and the time and the effort that goes in. But with Coffeezilla, people build I guess in a way they build a fandom around you. Like I'll scroll down into the comments of your videos and I'll see the same people getting the top comments all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's a community there of people who like watching you for you,
And that was a very deliberate shift in my content. And it's one of the reasons that I stopped uploading to Coffeebreak was because I wanted to do something drastically different, drastically more personality based, because I was kind of getting a little sick of the like kind of know-it-all sound of video essays and just how little of myself it featured. It just featured like the research that I was doing, not at all any of the personality. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm doing this on a platform that is personality centered. Maybe I should include my personality. So when I went to Coffeezilla, I was like, all right, well, how do I be myself on camera? As you know, that's like way easier said than done. And so my thought was, well, I'll upload a bunch of videos. Like at that point, I was doing like a video a month. And then I said, well, if I just take a lot of swings at bat, I'll probably get better at this. And it's surprising, yeah, kind of how people have actually kind of taken a liking to it. I never really expected it, but it's cool.
No, I think like, I don't know, if you do go back to Coffeebreak, I don't think it would be bad to input that personality. I don't know how people would feel,
No, I totally agree with you.
But,
no, I totally agree with you. Screw what they feel. Make the transition, because I do think it's just better content to have somebody with an actual personality than just some faceless voice talking to you. I can't believe that I thought, sometimes you just look back at your old content and you're like, who watched this? But sometimes I look at my old Coffeebreak videos. I was like, dude, why did anyone watch this? I don't know. Maybe everyone just hates their old content, but I
checked my videos from like a month ago, and I'm like, this is a piece of garbage.
Yeah, and you're like, man, now I'm making the good stuff.
Yeah, I think that's how it is for anybody that's, just making something creatively. It's like you can realize how far you come when you look back at those old videos, and that's even outside of YouTube. You look back at like, if you're an artist, you look back at your old drawings, you're like, wow, I was really bad then, and I've gotten so much better now. It's just over like a longer period of time you realize those things, and that's the work we're talking about. You put in that work, and then you notice, oh, I've gotten better at it. But yeah, I definitely, I look back at my old content and I'm like, who who is this man? Why is he doing this? Why does he always wear tank tops? That's weird, you know?
So, Diesel, let me ask you. Can I ask you a question? I know it's your podcast. Can I take the reins?
No, feel free.
Let me take the reins for a second, Diesel. Okay. You know, we haven't known each other for that long, so I just want to get to know you for a second. Maybe the audience can get to know you a little bit better. Where's the Diesel train? I don't know. What do you call your audience? The train, the Diesel trucks. What do you call them?
I usually just refer to everybody as like the internet because that's what I'm speaking to.
Okay,
you know, sure. I try to actively squash the fandom thing. I call myself a stan expert, and that's completely self-titled.
I love when people do that, dude. No, I approve. I love self-titles. I think it's great. Yeah, you're stan expert, and we all will refer to you as that henceforth. Okay?
When my channel started blowing up, I put in an ungodly amount of research into understanding parasocial relationships, right? And how people interact online. And part of my academic work in like media studies was all the papers I've written have been based around that, you know? And so I actively try to push people away from like the whole stan thing because I personally have had like really serious problems. Well, not like serious, but it's stuff that like bothered me and made me feel uncomfortable, you know?
Like what?
So when my girlfriend and I started dating, I wasn't like, you know, I didn't want to like publicly announce that to the internet because I didn't want them to harass her. And for the most part, the audience was good. But then like every now and again, there'd be a person who would just do something absolutely like ridiculous that is completely like inappropriate. You know, like some random stranger will be obsessed with the idea of being with FPS Diesel because Diesel's not me. That's a person on camera. That's not the same person in my opinion. You know, but they'll harass her and be like, "Oh, you gotta break up with him," blah blah blah, and just insult her. For example, one that was really it bothered me a lot.
Let's back up a little bit. You're saying you're not the exact same person on camera that you are in real life?
No,
bro, unauthentic. Unauthentic. I'm unsubscribing.
I am fake. I am fake. It's been a lie this whole time.
Guys, I want you to know out there in the Coffeezilla army, if you're watching, I'm 100% the person I am on camera in real life. There's not an iota of change. Nothing changes, boys. I'm the realest man on the internet.
No, people don't realize that
yeah, of course.
On-camera personas are different from what that person is like in real life. And that's part of the like what builds parasocial relationships. There was
don't you think parasocial relationships are kind of just a synonym for lonely people who spend too much time on the internet?
That's part of it, but that's not the. There's a psychological basis of it.
I just want to boil it down to something simple. No, okay.
No,
what's the psychological
that, you know?
basis? What's the psychological basis?
So in the and it usually happens in the formative years of somebody's life. So teenager, right? They are looking for things to identify with, right? And they'll turn to these figures in media to help build and base off their personality. So, you know, I'm not saying this is a clear-cut reason why people become the way they are when they're adults. But, you know, for example, if somebody watches a cartoon character and then they're like, that's the cartoon character that made me gay. You know, that could be something that's involved with that process of building a personality. But with parasocial relationships, this person is fulfilling a social need that isn't being reciprocated by the other person. So we end up having this like point where somebody's receiving all these benefits of a social relationship and the other side isn't receiving any. And because they don't actually know the person or actually get that interaction, they build up this false idol sense of what this person is. And so like when a YouTuber does something bad and then a person in their audience is like, oh, I did something bad to myself, like I hurt myself because he did this or some other thing, right?
What?
That's because the psychological response to that when a YouTuber does something wrong or something like that and you have a parasocial relationship built with them, it triggers the same functions in our brain that a breakup would cause.
Oh,
right?
Gosh.
So you actually experience a parasocial breakup when like Shane Dawson said the N-word or something, you know?
Isn't this like but okay. Is this gosh, I feel like such a boomer right now. I know nothing about parasocial relationships. If you guys think I'm ignorant about this, you are 100% correct. But let me try to unpack this. So it reminds me of how when you're young, you can develop crushes that are entirely based on sort of like voyeuristic view, just seeing that person interact, you have a crush on them, and you develop this sense of like, I know her. And you actually don't, of course. You have no actual relationship with this person. And then you ask her out or whatever, and she's like, wait, who are you? And you're all crushed. It seems like that, but online. Am I right?
Yes, but there's a couple of things that are different, right? Because for us, we're YouTubers, so they get this window into our lives. So they have a much fuller picture of who they think we are.
Sure. Okay, now I get it.
So it builds up a very strong connection between the people.
Well, especially when YouTubers are like, haha, love you guys.
Yes.
You're my family, bro. You're my family.
And that's why I really hate it when YouTubers do that, because it actually ingrains that kind of relationship with people who might not be in the right state of mind. It could help, take over how they process information, and how they go about their life. So for example, if somebody, what's a good one? There was that YouTuber, and she was a singer, and she was killed by a man
Christina
who had an
Grimmie.
obsession. Yes.
Yeah.
So he had a very serious parasocial relationship that developed into him becoming a stalker, and then eventually going to act out on that because he wasn't getting anything reciprocated from her, right? He was doing things like losing weight. He got hair on his head. He got his teeth whitened. He did tons of things, right? And he would lie about this relationship he had with her, right? Because that was the only kind of interaction he had with this person, right? And that is how it built up to that point. And I'm not saying she's responsible, but I'm saying that if you're someone who is lonely, or you have, and the evidence suggests that people who already have anxiety disorders, social anxiety, depression, things like that, are more susceptible to develop parasocial relationships. So it builds up over time. And I mean, we could look at basically any famous celebrity stalking incident ever, and it has the same pattern,
Yeah, but let's solve this problem. Let's not just be couch philosophers. Let's go a step further and solve parasocial relationships once and for all. I have a proposed solution. I want you to tell me what you think of it, okay?
Okay.
How about we have a day that the internet doesn't work? One day a week. I mean, maybe if people can't stand that, one day a month. The internet just doesn't work. I really believe that people would just stumble outside for the first time, in a while, go, oh, what's going on out here? I do think we've done something horrible by making out the real world optional. I think that's a terrible thing, because some people are completely opting out, and I think that's where you lose your grip. What you're describing to me is not just, people kind of developing these online people that they feel like they know. It's that they've lost grip with the difference between this online thing and then what's actually real.
Yeah.
So what do you think of my solution? You think you think we can get Biden to sign off?
I don't think it's bad, but I think it's ignoring the heart of the problem, right? Because parasocial relationships existed before the internet existed, right? Even cults of personality can be described as parasocial relationships. Julius Caesar had, all these people who loved him and adored him, which allowed him to stay in power. And whether or not he was a good leader, is up for debate, But the question is are those things okay to have? No, those kind of relationships aren't.
Yes.
I think most people
yes.
say they're bad.
I disagree.
Yeah. You say yes, they're okay to have?
Yeah. No. Okay, well, wait. Let me fight you on this. I know you're the expert, but let me give you a counter argument here. I think what can be described as a light kind of parasocial relationship can also be described as being influenced by someone, and that can be a very positive thing. I have people that I would say that I look up to professionally. I think they're doing great things, and I'm inspired by them. I think that's a good thing. So
yeah,
that there's no real hard line where that becomes a parasocial relationship. So I don't want to just outright say, oh yeah, getting invested in somebody else, like kind of, being inspired by somebody or whatever is necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just important to draw the line just very clearly that you don't actually know these people. It's just you're a fan of them, and that's fine. You're not a stan.
That's what separates, being inspired from a parasocial relationship, is that, you're inspired, but you realize that is their own person with their own life. You don't want to be a part of that. You're inspired by what they do, right? But parasocial relationships, people idolize who they are, and that could happen with politicians, religious officials, basically anybody, when you don't know them. But my proposed solution would be that, that like cutting off the internet would help, because then you have to interact, right?
Right.
But if you don't socialize with people and you don't develop good social ties, it's not going to help anything. The important thing to do is to develop good social ties, make friends with people. You don't necessarily need to be in a relationship with anybody. But if you're somebody who is opposed to social outings, maybe instead of, I'm going to watch, I don't know, Markiplier, right? Force yourself, I have friends who want me to go out, let me go out. There's all those memes about like, oh no, I can't come out, I'm busy, and all they're doing is watching Netflix. Instead, if you realize that, like, if you're like upset that you don't have any friends or you don't socialize, you need to put yourself in a situation to force yourself to do that. You need to expose yourself to those uncomfortable situations to help yourself. Because if you go and get therapy for these kind of relationships, and they can be toxic. You look at OnlyFans, we got men spending thousands of dollars for women that'll never pay attention to them.
Yeah,
but
no,
you got all
that's
these people
weird.
doing that.
Yeah, that is sort of the embodiment of the parasocial kind of like relationship, except they're just monetizing it. No, I agree with you. I think I don't want to take away from your rant there. That was very profound. I think you're absolutely right. Just get out of your comfort zone, go talk to people. You said it. You heard it straight from the guru, guys. Look, you should package this and sell it. I don't know.
This is genuinely like one of those things on YouTube that I'm super passionate about, but everybody thinks I'm a fucking insane person. And there's like there's evidence, there's like studies on it, but people don't want to study this. There's no money involved in this, especially in like media literacy and media academics. That's not where the money is. The money is in the political stuff, at least in media studies, because I've been doing the whole academic thing long enough with this that I can tell you that people would much prefer a study on how you can go from Chris Reagan to Ben Shapiro to Adolf Hitler in 10 easy steps.
Okay. Okay. What do you think about that?
What do I think about that? I think it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, dude. Okay. Thank you, man. I've been telling people the pipeline stuff is so ridiculous. I've read a couple of the studies, and I am blown away that this stuff is being called academic research. I don't understand.
No, I've been sitting in classes where they use that kind of stuff as the basis for conversation for the day.
Oh my!
And we're talking about like really high concept stuff in freshman level courses. These kids just fucking eat it up, and they're not any smarter to it, because they just believe that it is true, But that's not how.
Topic
like if you're
for the
media
day:
literate,
is Chris Reagan leading people to Adolf? Please discuss.
I've met Chris Reagan. I can assure you that he is definitely Puerto Rican and definitely not racist.
But he must be complicit though somehow. How's he? We've got to get him to be complicit, dude. That stuff drives me nuts, man. That drives me crazy.
No, it's really, really bad. Especially in like academic circles, because people think that they understand it all. It's like the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people, just because you have a PhD doesn't mean you're a fucking genius. Okay? It doesn't. There's a lot of people that have high level degrees that are just, average intelligence like the rest of us. They don't have it all figured out. But people think they do. That's just not how it works. I had a professor once. She was a gender studies and television critical theory specialist. And
wow.
She said one day to me that the Marvel's Avengers movies were fascist propaganda, and it blew my mind.
Dude, I know. I've never looked at it that way, but she's right. I think she's yeah, dude. I know. When I watched those movies, I had to resist some salutes. I don't know about you. No, yeah, of course that stuff is so silly, outlandish. You know what it is? It's like people need stuff to write about. They need stuff to look at, and you just end up, drifting towards whatever is kind of the buzzword of the day. And so I guess fascist and all this kind of stuff is the buzzword of the day. So all these people need to create little research projects. Yeah. Have you ever heard of St. George in retirement? Have you ever heard that expression? The St. George in retirement problem? So it's the idea that, St. George kills the dragon, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what he's bred to do. His whole life, he's trained to kill dragons. So what does he do after he kills the dragon? Well, he's still got a long life ahead of him. He's got to go kill some more dragons. So he goes and finds a slightly smaller dragon and he kills the dragon. And then, where's the next one? He tries to go to the next one. He kills a smaller dragon. But there's not that many dragons. And so one day they just see a drunk St. George, the knight, killing a bunch of sheep. And they're like, "What are you doing, George?" And he's like, "Look, some dragons." And it's like, dude, the guy just doesn't want to give it up. He doesn't want to admit that he's done his job and there's not the monsters that you thought there were. You've done it. You've achieved it. Yeah. But he still wants to have a job. And so he's going around finding smaller and smaller dragons. I think that can kind of summarize a lot of that stuff of every generation wants to be heroes unto themselves. They want to have their great fight. And increasingly, just if you think of society as moving towards progress, you just have to accept the fact that we're going to have smaller and smaller problems to, quote, solve. And so what does that create? Well, I don't know. I think it drives some people insane who have that need for kind of being the hero, right?
Yeah, I think maybe particularly with young men more, because I don't know, this is a weird social
and women
to achieve greatness and all that, and women. I feel like it's starting to become like everybody, but generally when I look back on a lot of the stuff that influenced for dudes in particular, there's always a need to be a fucking slayer and destroyer and all this shit, and now there's a huge push for women to be super big time achievers, but it's and people are gauging themselves up against ridiculous standards, and they're looking to achieve these things that are not possible or not even there.
Dude, honestly, all this stuff has made me actually not want to go on anyone's podcast or do anything, because I'm like, dude, am I going to get on some watch list? Because now how they do a lot of these studies is they just connect you to anyone you've collabed with. And so I worry about I don't have time to do the research. I probably should. But anytime anyone invites me to the show, I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to get on who did they talk to? They didn't talk to Richard last, right? Who did they talk to? And it does kind of just...
Worried I'm going to get you put on a list?
Yeah, dude. FP, Diesel, I hope you're not on a list, because then I'll be on a list, and, we're... Yeah, me and my co-host all the time, we're just going to go into it with the mentality that we're already canceled, because we know there's just no way to avoid it anymore.
No, there is zero way. Somebody will always be offended with what you have to say. I just don't want to be walking down the street and then somebody's like, "Yeah, you fucking Nazi." It's I don't know about you, dude, but I've been Puerto Rican since the day I was born.
Oh, you're Puerto Rican? Dude, we're brothers. Well, not really. We're more distant cousins. I'm Cuban.
Oh, you're Cuban.
Cubano.
Okay.
Yeah, half.
Yeah, both my parents, the second generation immigrants, I think. Yeah. So, definitely a bit new to the country, I guess, in terms of everything. My family ended up coming over in the 1930s, so we haven't been here that long. But I can assure you, I'm definitely not German. I'm not goose stepping. I don't hate the Jews. I love the Jewish people. That sounds like a I have a black friend argument, but
No, I know. You're stepping dangerously towards that, guys. Trust me. I'm not racist. Actually, trust me.
oh my god.
Yeah, you don't ever want to. No, but yeah, man, crazy times. Crazy times. I don't know what to say.
No, it definitely is, and it's why I don't say anything politically anymore because it's just
Same.
so.
Oh, do you have a history of political commentary?
I actually, yes, I do.
Oh,
and
no.
also,
wait, I'm about to disavow you, Diesel. Wait, what'd you say?
I used to
damn it.
be a political activist.
No,
like,
you
actually,
didn't.
I used to work for a libertarian organization.
Oh, well, that's it. All right, guys. Well, nice.
Now I'm canceled.
Nice to know you guys.
Wait,
Thanks a lot.
You want me to fucking make it even worse? I went to watch Milo Yiannopoulos speak when he was big.
Dude, Diesel, well, I disavow you and your anti-stands.
You know the girl that filmed the Triggerly-Puff video? I met her as well.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I was in the worst of it, dude. The worst of it.
The culture
so
wars.
glad I'm not anymore.
You're in the culture.
The culture
wars.
war.
That's kind of like what. So you kind of probably ran in the same gang as that, like Chris Ray Gun kind of thing. Like, we're anti-SJW, or like, were you that type or what?
I definitely was, and I still think, like, you know, the Francesca Ramsey kind of videos where they're like, you can't be racist to this group of people. It's like, that's not how that works, okay? But apparently that's a, you know, very ridiculous thing to have. I don't think I'd ever call myself anti-SJW because I have much more in my life that I give a shit about than that. And to be honest, a lot of those people are, like, not very academically put together. I mean, both, like, the anti-SJW people and the social justice people. Chris is fine, though. Poor fucking Chris, man.
Yeah,
he can't get a fucking break.
No, he cannot, dude. I agree. Poor guy wants to change his content, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're the anti-SJW guy, right?"
Every time I've been around Chris, he's been nothing but kind. You know, I don't know what to say.
Oh,
you know, I don't know. Yeah, I used to do that.
He's like a Bernie bro, isn't he? Like he's like left wing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's literally just based off of who he was around then, and he still has to deal with it.
I really dislike the. I think it's a dangerous game to play the guilt by association, thing. I think it's a really bad game to play, and I think most of the people playing it, they're not thinking about who they could be kind of linked to or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it really, like, whatever way the cultural wind blows, that's who's next. I fundamentally believe that, one, we're in a cyberpunk dystopia, and then two, Twitter needs to die.
Wait, what's the second one?
Twitter needs to die because I think it helps exacerbate the issue.
100%. I think if Twitter actually didn't exist on a platform, a lot of problems would just be instantly solved. And I actually mean that. I don't think that's true of Facebook. I don't think it's true of a lot of things. But Twitter has a special capacity for outraging people. And me. Like, I'm in it all the time. Like, everybody who's participated in Twitter knows what I'm talking about. It just brings out the worst in people.
Do you ever find yourself having to fight back the urge to respond to something?
All the time, bro. Dude, every tweet I do, I always second guess myself. Like, dude, do you actually want to say this? Do you really? I've put my foot in my mouth so many times. I am that guy, dude. I really. So sometimes I will write it. I'll sit there and I won't tweet it for 15 minutes. And if I come back and it's like a spicy tweet, you know. And 15 minutes, I'll come back and just, want to slap myself. Like, yeah, of course you don't want to tweet this. This is stupid. Because oftentimes I'm like not informed, or I just want to hot take something, and it's like, yeah, just don't.
It's so easy to hot take something. And, like, I didn't want to say anything about the election, but then I was like, okay, but we can all agree that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And I shit you not, people showed up in my replies being like, I don't know about that. I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me?
No, Twitter just finds whoever disagrees with you and puts them right in your comment section. That's what it is.
I genuinely believe there are like just sweatshop workers that instigate arguments. Actually, no, that's not even like, I don't even believe that. There's evidence of that happening. That's not even like false. That happens, you know? But I do agree with you. I think if Twitter vanished, we'd solve a lot of issues. Because you go online and you think everybody is the most radical human being on the planet.
Yeah,
and you don't
they're
agree with anything they
actually
say.
not, dude. All the people that I know, I have like nice conversations when I actually talk to them. But Twitter just makes me think everyone is, dumb, uninformed.
Just makes me think that everybody's insane.
But then I just realized, look, I probably look the exact same. I look just as dumb with all my hot takes. So, yeah, I agree. Twitter needs to be deleted. Jack should be locked up. I think that's...
Jack should be locked up.
100%. Crimes against humanity. Yeah, forever.
Oh, my God. Good old Mark Zuckerberg does. He definitely needs to.
Zuck? Dude. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about Zuckerberg? He's kind of a... He's like hating Nickelback at this point. It's sort of a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's so easy.
It's low-hanging fruit.
It's definitely easy, but like... Facebook is straight up an evil corporation. I have zero doubts. Same thing with Google too, even in that regard, because all the big companies, they can manipulate pretty much anything we see.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd never know that we're being manipulated in the first place.
True.
But there's evidence that they play all these studies on us. Facebook did the thing where they would deliberately put things you disagree with politically in front of you to see how you would react to it. Are people comfortable with this thing? That's something we got to ask ourselves. And I think people just want to have that instant access to Facebook and all these other things without really taking in what kind of damage these things can do. We connected the world, but I think it tore us apart, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we've just given... I mean, I should say this. I should preface this with saying I'm a nerd myself. But I think nerds should not have power. I don't think it goes over super well. I think you should listen to the nerds, but I don't know if people like that should have power, because I feel like Zuckerberg maybe kind of was bullied, and maybe he wants to take it out on everybody now that he's rich, famous, and powerful. I don't know. I get really uncomfortable when people like Zuck get in giant positions of unchecked power, and you're just like, what is this guy thinking? What are his motivations? What are his goals?
Yeah, it's definitely I just don't know how people don't worry about it. I really don't, because it's something I just started watching.
I don't think that's true. I don't like the premise. I think people do worry about it, but there's just nothing you can do. So then people forget about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would always say, take to the streets, but like, I don't know how well that's gonna work anymore. I was in Manhattan a couple days before the election, and the entire city was boarded up. They were prepared for the apocalypse to happen on election day, and it was like stepping into a fucking movie, dude. It was like stepping into a movie. It was really weird. But
it's a weird time.
I know.
Dude, we have totally departed my range of expertise, guys.
I don't even know where the fuck we are now.
I'm not into politics. I'm just trying to make my little videos, and Diesel's trying to get me on some list. Let me just say that right now. Successfully, I might add. I can't believe this.
Well, I'm not saying anything that I think is fucking bananas. But we've been talking for an hour and a half. I think we should call it there before I accidentally ruin your career.
Yeah, dude. I've already probably ruined it 10 years ago, so it's okay. I don't know.
It's fine. You're doing good work.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Same to you. I'd like to see people who just on that similar grind, and I'm always happy to collab and talk. It's nice meeting you, and yeah, glad we could do it.
No, you're a good guy to talk to. It's just been a good time. Sometimes you talk to people and they're like, "What is going on here?" But no, you got it. So where can people find you? I mean, I'll link it down below, but where can people find you?
All right. If you don't know how to use the YouTube search bar at this point, I don't know. I cannot help you, but let's try anyways. Get out your grandma glasses and type in Coffeezilla into the YouTube search bar, and you will find me. That's basically the only place that I'm super active. My Twitter's just a bunch of cold takes because I kill all the hot takes. And then, yeah, that's it.
There you go. Go follow him, everybody listening. This has been Explain It Slowly, where we explain things slowly and we
I feel like we explained it fast. I feel like this whole show's a lie, by the way. I'm about to call you out on my show. Dude, first of all, we covered so many topics in an hour and a half. We did not explain anything slowly. We talked about gurus, politics, we talked weight loss, fitness. What else did we talk about? Parasocial
college.
Relationships, college.
There we go, yeah.
Dude, save a little bit of the universe for the next episode, please.
All right. Well, goodbye, Internet.
Bye,
Go
Internet.
away.
Bye, diesel trucks. I want to start that. The diesel trucks. the diesel convoy. I don't know. All right, man. See ya.
Explain It Slowly is brought to you in part by people like you over on patreon.com/FPS Diesel. Head over there and you can get episodes the week they come out. Episodes with creatives, intellectual people that do things that are interesting and might teach you a thing or two about the subjects they feel passionate about, as well as interesting topics on history and other such things that I like. You also get exclusive content over on Patreon as well. I try to make it worth your while, and just so everyone knows, I'm the only person that works on these things right now. So any little bit you can give helps. Again, that's patreon.com/FPS Diesel.